The wind howled over Ouagadougou that night, carrying with it a strange tension, like the calm before a storm. Inside the presidential compound, lights burned late into the evening. President Ibrahim Traoré sat at his desk, alone, eyes scanning a classified report. A knock on the door broke the silence. A soldier entered. His expression was grim. "Mr. President, there's a man asking to see you. He says he's family." Traoré raised an eyebrow. "Who?" "Your cousin. Mamadou Diallo." Traoré stiffened. Mamadou. The name struck a chord. The same cousin who had once been like a brother, until he vanished into thin air a year ago, rumored to be working with foreign agents. "Send him in." The door creaked open. Mamadou entered slowly, his clothes filthy, his face sunken with guilt and exhaustion. He dropped to his knees. "Ibrahim," he whispered, "I've done something terrible. I came to confess." Traoré stood motionless. "You disappeared, Mamadou. You left us when we needed you. Why come back now?" Mamadou's voice cracked. "Because I couldn't live with the lie. I was sent here to kill you." The words hung heavy in the air. "Who sent you?" Traoré demanded, his voice cold. Mamadou looked up, tears in his eyes. "They found me in Abidjan. Foreign-backed operatives tied to the Syndikat Noir. They promised protection if I completed one task." Traoré's breath slowed. "What task?" Mamadou pulled a sealed pouch from his jacket. Inside was a vial, clear, odorless, deadly. "This. They told me to put it in your tea. Said it would look like a heart failure. No trace." The president stared at the vial, the weight of betrayal crushing his chest. "Why didn't you go through with it?" "Because you're my blood. My brother. I couldn't do it." Just then, the head of security, Commander Nasser, burst in. "Mr. President, is everything okay?" "I heard." Traoré raised the vial. "He was sent to poison me." Nasser's eyes narrowed. "Who's behind this?" Mamadou whispered, "A man named Silas Ndemu. Controls the Syndikat Noir. But he's not working alone." Traoré's mind raced. "Who else?" "There's a mole. Someone inside the palace. A familiar face. They said if I failed, the backup plan would be activated. Another assassin. Already in position." The room fell deathly silent. "Who is it?" Nasser asked. Mamadou shook his head. "I never saw their face. But they said, they're closer to the president than his own shadow." Traoré stood, eyes blazing. "Lock down the palace. Now." Guards scrambled. Hallways flooded with armed personnel. Still, the threat remained invisible. In the interrogation chamber, Mamadou revealed more. Silas said the real assassin carries a distinct marker. A copper pendant shaped like a lion's head. Nasser nodded slowly. "Only one man here wears that. The palace steward, Kwame." But when they reached Kwame's quarters, the room was empty. No sign of him. No clothes. No ID. Just one thing left behind. A tea kettle still warm, and a pendant lying on the table. "He's going after the president," Nasser muttered. In the palace kitchen, a man moved swiftly, pouring a clear liquid into the kettle meant for the president's tea. His face was calm, but his hands moved like a predator stalking prey. Minutes later, Traoré's personal guard reported movement near his quarters. An aide was approaching, with tea. Traoré met him at the door. "Mr. President, your tea." Traoré looked down. The aide's hand trembled. Around his neck, a faint outline of a chain. "Where's Kwame?" Traoré demanded. The aide's eyes flashed. He dropped the tray and lunged. Traoré dodged just in time. The tray shattered. The scalding tea spilled across the floor. Nasser appeared behind the attacker, tackling him. A knife clattered from the man's sleeve. After a tense struggle, the attacker was restrained. But Traoré's heart was far from settled. Back in the interrogation room, the captured aide refused to speak. Until Traoré placed Mamadou in front of him. "He told me everything. Now it's your turn." The man's face darkened. "You're too late." The order didn't come from Silas. It came from someone you dine with every week. "Who?" "Your defense minister. General Bako. He's been feeding intel to foreign handlers for over a year. He arranged your death to clear the path for a military coup." Traoré's chest tightened. "You're lying. Check his schedule. Last week, he flew to Dakar. Met with operatives. And you signed the clearance." Traoré turned to Nasser. "Bring me Bako. Now." Minutes later, the general was in custody. Denying everything. But the evidence was damning: flight logs, intercepted messages, a coded ledger buried in his office. As the sun began to rise over Ouagadougou, the palace was still on high alert. Mamadou sat beside his cousin, exhausted but relieved. "Ibrahim, will you forgive me?" Traoré didn't answer right away. He stared out the window, then finally spoke. "I will forgive. But I won't forget. Because even in the heart of power, shadows lurked. And sometimes, the greatest threats weren't from the outside, but from within." Traoré stood in silence as the first light of dawn spilled over the city. The storm had passed, but its aftermath lingered, bitter and sobering. He turned to Mamadou, placing a firm hand on his shoulder. "You may have strayed, but you came back. That counts for something," Traoré said. "But your path forward won't be easy." Mamadou nodded, understanding. "Whatever you ask of me, I'll do it." Traoré rose from his chair. "Then you'll help rebuild what you helped unravel. You'll testify before the council. Tell them everything about Silas, the Syndikat Noir, Bako, all of it. No more shadows." Meanwhile, General Bako's arrest sent shockwaves through the military ranks. Some loyalists attempted to resist, but they were quickly overpowered. Traoré addressed the nation that evening. "My people," he began, "last night, we faced betrayal from within. But we endured. And we are stronger for it." His voice carried the weight of a leader tested by fire. "From this day forward, I vow to cleanse our government of hidden hands and foreign influence. Burkina Faso will stand sovereign, unshaken." Cheers erupted across the country, but within the palace, vigilance remained high. In the following weeks, the Syndikat Noir's network began to unravel. Mamadou's testimony led to key arrests across West Africa. Silas Ndumu went underground, but Traoré placed a bounty on his head. As for Mamadou, he was offered protection and a new identity, but he refused. "I don't want to hide," he said. Let me earn my place back, with truth. Traoré agreed. Mamadou was placed under supervised freedom, helping intelligence officials dismantle foreign cells. Late one evening, months later, the president and his cousin walked through the palace gardens. The air was calm now. The trees no longer whispered danger. "You think the danger's over?" Mamadou asked quietly. Traoré shook his head. "No. It never is. But now, I know who I can trust." He looked at Mamadou. "And who I can't afford to lose again." They paused beneath an old baobab tree, once planted by their grandfather. In that moment, blood proved stronger than betrayal. And beneath the weight of memory and responsibility, two brothers stood side by side, not just survivors of a conspiracy, but builders of a future no longer clouded by lies. Because power, in its purest form, isn't in crowns or compounds, but in the courage to face the truth. And in Ouagadougou, that truth had just begun to shine.